After about 6 years of waiting, Halo Infinite is finally here. The conclusions to 4, 5, and Halo Wars. Or is it? After 343's stagger in Halo 4 and the failure of Halo 5, can 343 finally redeem itself with this third game in their trilogy? So let's power on the Chief's armor once again and dive right in.
Yes! 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 We're going home!
We will only be talking about the intro of the story. Outside of that, there will be no spoilers. An unknown amount of time has passed in between games. When we start, we find the UNSC Infinity being attacked and Master Chief defeated by Atriox, the returning villain from Halo Wars 2. 6 months pass and Master Chief is discovered by the pilot. Once reactivated, Chief's mission is to go grab an AI codenamed the Weapon and stop the Banished on Zeta Halo. But first,
I need a weapon.
Weapon? This is all I've got.
It's enough.
the intro mission is very close quarters as it has you going through a wrecked ship to get some weapons before you head to the ring. I find it to be a really fitting starter mission in Halo Infinite, as it shows how much damage over the past 6 months that the Banished have done. It helps you get acquainted with your first piece of gear, the grappling hook, and reacquainted with all your weapons. After you escape the ship, retrieve the weapon, and kill your first boss, then you can finally experience freedom.
Look at this place. It's so full of more monsters coming to kill us.
For the first time, Halo is going open world. Some would say that the first game for its time was open world, but it was only semi-open, with large maps keeping lenient, while this one stays true to that structure, but expanded. The world isn't massive, but it's big enough to keep you spending hours of your time on. So what does one do to spend their time on this ring? Well, outside of story events, there's a multitude of things to do while you're out in the open. This will include audio logs to fill in the time gap from when Chief was defeated until he got to the ring. Banished propaganda towers, which a hilarious little grunt commentates on while you go around and destroy. As you progress through the story, you'll find fallen Spartans who give you new abilities. Much like your grappling hook, these can be used at any time, from dashes to drop shields. You can level up these abilities by going around the map and collecting Spartan cores from containers. These will act as skill points for your gear. My favorite piece of gear, much like everybody else's that I recommend you upgrade first, being the grappling hook. Out in the open as well are UNSC lockers that will give you cosmetics for multiplayer. These could range from weapon skins, armor skins, pieces of armor, poses, and gun skins. There are forward operating bases. Think of these as bases in Far Cry where you have to kill all the enemies to take it over. Doing these and other small open world missions will get you Valor. The more Valor you have, the more you have to unlock at your base, which you can use to take down the Banished. You can also run around and free prisoned Marines. Well, I recommend keeping them in chains until you're done with the Banished yourself, because usually when you free them, they somehow end up dying anyway. The Marine AI isn't great, they will find a way to die. Around the map there will be a series of Banished stations which you can take over and destroy. These ranged from destroying stuff like towers, to saving a bunch of Marines. There are also bounty missions in which you can go around and find Banished, which you can kill for special weapons.
Akro Vagadoon is nearby, Chief. Be careful, he's got quite a rap sheet. Thousands of UNSC personnel died at his hands. Time to make it right.
Once you're done killing all of his men, then him, you get the special weapon which you can use at any forward operating base. But if you want it right then and there to test it out, the enemy drops it as soon as you kill him. As mentioned earlier in the review, boss battles are finally back. I say back because the closest we've had to one was at the end of Halo 2, and that was really about it. I was ecstatic to have my skills tested by an actual challenge and not something like Halo 3's Guilty Spark, where all you do is shoot him 3 times and he dies. There's plenty of Easter eggs to go around and explore and uncover, and the gunplay is as amazing as ever. Halo Infinite gives us a lot to uncover and explore. And while the starter missions in the campaign seem to have a good pace, the later missions in the campaign seem to have slogged a bit. When just about every time you would think the mission is over, it just keeps going and going and going. All around, the campaign took me 10 hours to beat, and that was mainly rushing through everything. Halo Infinite will be the first Halo to have story expansions. These will roll out over the years and give us more things to do in the campaign. But once you complete the story and find everything there is to do, there's not really much to do after. While so far I've been praising this game, it doesn't come without its issues. Campaign missions are unreplayable unless you start a new file. This is a bummer as of right now because there are certain skulls to collect in the campaign that you can't get unless you get it in a story-specific mission. So if you complete the game and you don't get all the skulls, you're going to have to start from scratch until they introduce the patch that lets you replay older missions. While every time a new Halo game comes out, I do like to play it solo, but there are people out there that do like to play Halo co-op on day one. And sadly, co-op is not in the story yet either and is also being introduced in a future patch. It was pushed back so 343 could focus on polishing the campaign and making sure it was out by its new release date. Sadly, the same can be said of Forge as well, which is also missing from its release. This review is covering the campaign only, seeing as the multiplayer is free. I'm reviewing what you pay for. The multiplayer will be in a separate video. But despite Halo Infinite's missteps, NextEv gives it an 8.5 out of 10. Thank you so much for watching. The footage provided today, cutscene-wise, was borrowed from Gamer's Little Playground on YouTube. Outside of that, all gameplay was my own, and this is only from the first 2.5 hours of the game. This is the first review on this channel under the NextEv name, with more to come. Make sure to go check me and my team out at thenexev.com.